Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Book Club. I apologize that we didn't have book club last week, but it was for a very good cause. As you enter the chat, I ask that you please let me know that you're here. Good morning, Marty. Welcome in. I'm so glad to have you with us tonight. For those of you that are going to be team replay, welcome in. Thank you for being here. I sincerely appreciate your time. And I'm going to jump right into the book. Those that come in later, of course, I will greet them as they arrive for the live component of it, the replay. Well, you guys will hear my thoughts as we unfold this book. Of course, today's book and the book for the month of March is the 12-week year. And I have to first say, thank you, Marty, for this book because she's the person that brought this to my attention and put it on my radar. So I decided this would be a good book for us to dive deep into. And first, let me tell you who the authors are. That would be Brian Morgan and Michael Lennington. These two, hey, Nifty, welcome in. Glad to have you here. Now, as I was saying, these two authors spent more than a decade. Ironically, they point out that they spent more than 12 years planning, organizing, and strategizing what would become this book, the 12-week year. And they start out by asking a question that really piqued my interest. I'm sure if you guys have read the book, it probably piqued your interest as well. And the question was, how is it some people are never able to accomplish what they're capable of? Thank you for speaking, Marty. If you could fully tap into your potential, what might be different for you? And I know for me, I always have so many things going on in my life. I wear a lot of different hats. I'm a mom. I'm a daycare provider, so I'm keenly aware of the development of each one of the children I provide care for. I'm a content creator, so I'm constantly thinking of different topics that I want to bring to my channel. How do I balance all of that and then still deal with all the things that I deal with behind the scenes, my health, the relationships that I have in friendships, my family, be supportive of other channels. Hello, Angela. Welcome in. Welcome in, and good to see you this evening. And the reality of it is, at times things drop. I miss things because I don't always keep my eye on the ball. But when I look at the global success that I have of everything that I'm trying to do, I'm capable of doing that simply because I hold fast to a regimented schedule. I target my plan and I execute it based on what the targets are. In a nutshell, that's the 12-week year. What they lay out in this book, though different and more microdosed, is exactly what I've always done. So please allow me to share this concept with you in hopes that it helps you achieve more of what you want to do. So, like I said, the introductory question from the authors opens up the book where we are seeking to understand how it is they take their clients to a production factor of more than 40 to 60% higher than what they were doing before they were hired. So, it made me wonder, and I'm pretty sure if you've read the book, it made you wonder as well. Now, over 12 years of invested instruction, learning, and application, I think that's a pretty good track record. I found it funny that they spent 12 years teaching us how to succeed in 12 weeks. If we did the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. That statement was by Thomas Edison, and I thought, this speaks to my soul because you guys know I love a good quote. A good quote is like a bumper sticker. Good evening, VJ. For me, a good quote is like a bumper sticker. You see it, And if it resonates with you, it sticks with you. And this one stuck with me because I'm often thinking of, I want to get all the things done. I want to be the best of the best at everything I do. And a lot of times, honestly, from taking my own inventory, I don't get to where I want to get to because I didn't focus as hard as I could have. The point that they bring to my attention, and I'm sure that they brought to many people's attention, which is why they were hired so often, is there are two lives: the life you live, and the life you're capable of living. And the difference, of course, is planning, strategizing, and executing your plan. The one who lives at the highest level, that's the point. The person who achieves the most, those are the people we admire, we focus on, we pay attention to. Absolutely. Action. There is a difference between action and potential. And I'll share this with you before we dive deeper into part one. When I was a kid, when I was in school, the beginning of the school year, you get your first 10-week report card. And mine pretty much always said the same thing. Michelle has amazing potential. Potential. That's an interesting word, meaning I could be phenomenal. It was up to me as to whether or not I was going to be. And oftentimes it also went along with the second part, which was Michelle talks a lot. So, hi, Vicki. Welcome in. I am doing great. You're going to have to forgive me. This is a truncated conversation, and I want to hit all the points that I've got written down. And just so you know, there's a lot of notes. So I want to stick to the topic as much as I can, but it doesn't mean I don't love you. And guys, I am so, so grateful to have each and every one of you here. I will quickly remind you to please hit like as you're entering the chat. Now, let's get started with part one. The things you think you know. This part of the book focuses on what you think you know and challenges what's working for you. The takeaway to that is what you'll learn after correction. The takeaway. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. There are a lot of touch points in this book. And that statement was said by John Wooten in chapter 2. And I'm calling this a chapter, but let me be clear. The way they define their chapters is a little bit different because they're doing two different parts of the book. So let's start with just the beginning. Redefining the year. The reality is there's no shortage of ideas. We all want to have all the things, do all the things, and be all the things. The truth is, we are all given only 24 hours a day. And if we survive the entire year, 365 days in a year. Now, potential means nothing with, as Marty pointed out, action. So, many of us operate in an annual planning process. This is true for most businesses. It's true of us. We know that in December, we're probably going to spend a lot more time than we normally do throughout the year with extended family. We're going to want to travel for some of us. This is where we take our inventory. Many of us, not all of us, because I'm not one, but many of us start the year out with a goal. I'm going to exercise more this year. I'm going to eat better. I'm going to whatever. Insert your goal plan. And the reality of it is, with annualized thinking, we are highly unlikely to achieve the maximum potential. And there's a really simple reason. And I'm going to give you an example and let you consider how this might go. As Marty said, that's right. There's the clincher for me. I felt like he was coming after me with that. Potential means nothing without action. It's the truth. It means nothing. Potential is energy that isn't spent. No energy spent yields no results. So let's take this under consideration for a moment. And this is based on annualized thinking. Let's say you have a goal of producing 104 10-inch granny squares. On its surface, January 1, that does not seem like an unrealistic goal. But in January, you needed to produce 8. The reality of it is you got waylaid with the stress of post-holiday mindset and that wear down from having to do so much during the month of December. You only made 6. That's not bad. It's not 8. So February and March happen and it's the doldrum of winter. You're just not motivated to pick the hook up in February and March. So 2 months go by and you produced 2, 1 each month. So you've got 10 done in 12 weeks. The reality of it is you should have a total of 24 squares. You've got 10, but you got time. The year isn't over. So you decide, oh, I'm going to push myself. In April, you did 11. Wow. And then May happened and you realized, oh my goodness, my bestie has a renewing of her vows in Fiji. So I'm going there and doing those things. Hey, Jen, welcome in. I appreciate that. I'm here. I love it. Thank you for being here. So, yeah, Siri, we didn't invite you to the conversation. Sorry. Anyway, you decide. Thank you. You decide in May, I don't have time because I need to work on a gift, for my friend. And I have to have a beach cover up. So you got 2 other projects going. You don't do anything with those granny squares. You've got 11 granny squares done and you're nowhere, but it's already June. Half of the year gone. July and August is entirely too hot. You don't pick up your hook at all. Now, it's September. You still have a sweater to make for a friend. You've got all the things you want to do for the holidays and things that you need to make. When are you going to have time to create that 104 squares? Because you're so far behind, you either decide, oh, this is unattainable. It was an unrealistic goal to begin with. It wasn't unrealistic. You gave yourself the out, which was a guaranteed fail. If you restructured the way you planned your time, you would be ahead of the game. And I'm going to give you my personal example related to my dishcloths. I said at the beginning of the year, I have a goal of producing 52 dishcloths by the end of the year. Good evening, Sugar Diamond. July and August for Jan is camping time. So yeah, she's probably not going to be hooking. And if she is, it's hooking around the fire. That might not be a good time to be making those squares. So not necessarily realistic, is it? But as I said, I'm on a quest to restash. Hello, Tammy, welcome in. I'm on a quest to restash my dishcloths because I gave away quite a lot of them. Hello, Sarah, welcome in, my darling. And my minimum goal is to produce 1 dishcloth a week. No excuse, no explanation, no out. This last week, I made 1. The week before, I made 4. And every week, I've produced at least 1 dishcloth. So I'm way ahead of my game. I don't know what my total count is. Good evening, Vivian. Good evening. So my point to that is this. If you stick to a constant schedule of production, you're going to get where you're going. Now back to explaining and demystifying annualized thinking. According to the theories for business, annualized thinking is supposed to be a recipe for success. I mean, let's be realistic. Most every business utilizes it. And the comparative is, how many of us turn our televisions on and in December and maybe even in November, you see all the ads for the car dealerships and businesses that tell you year end sale, come in and get your new car this year, or come in and do X, Y, Z. Well, that's because at the beginning of the year, they planned that. They know they have a sales quota of, we have to sell X number of cars, or we have to achieve X number of revenue. My question to them and to you is, could their sales have been significantly higher if instead of waiting till the last 60 days of the year to generate revenue, they had targeted sales throughout the year with the same level of effort? Think about it. If you waited until the last 60 days of the calendar year to produce 40 to 60% of the work you do for your employer, I can almost guarantee come January, you're going to be dusting off that resume and doing something very new and different. Hi, Sandy. Is it Sandy Wandy? Nice to meet you. Welcome in. So think about that. If you were the type of person who only did 2, maybe 3 months worth of work, would you be working for the same employer? The answer most likely is no. There is plenty of time to catch up in your mindset if you have a goal and you're using annualized thinking to measure it. Like I said, when it came to the whole granny square thing, if that's how you work, maybe that works for you. The reality of it is you're pushing yourself to do something at the end, whereas if you did incremental steps, you're more likely to achieve what you want to do and have plenty of time to do extra. Extra is more. More is better. So it's the long view that makes us believe we can catch up. And that's literally the mindset of annualized thinking. By thinking, I've got time. You do, but what are you doing with the time? You're giving yourself excuses and plausibility and opportunity to fail. You end up running and racing at the end to meet a deadline, because deadlines create urgency. That's a truth. The fact of running, if you were running all year long, wouldn't you be so much further ahead? So, forgive me. Notes and more notes. And yes, more notes. So, another flaw in the concept of the annualized year thinking is that you can catch up later in the year. Vivian said, I start making spring garments. I started making spring garments since February. And that makes perfect sense. If you want to achieve something for spring, you need to plan for it in winter. I mean, think about it. How many of us plant plants in the ground in the spring and eat those same plants that same month? We don't. Things that you want to achieve that are worth investing in, you have to plan for and cultivate that growth and that opportunity. Forgive me, I've gotten away from my notes for a second. The fact is, every day only has 24 hours. And if you push yourself in the last quarter, you will have amazing results. I don't deny that. I don't disagree. The facts prove that that is true. However, unfortunately, most of what you have achieved is makeup work. If you had a targeted goal of, like I said, the dishcloths of 104 dishcloths, and you kick in high speed, ignoring a lot of things, you can make 104 dishcloths. But had you strategically planned out those dishcloths, what else could you have done? Would you have been so pushed in the end? And Marty is sharing something with us. I'm a master procrastinator. Life lives. But if you only have 12 weeks to do something, you hit the ground running and you don't stop. The momentum builds and you just roll with it. And that's the honest truth. If you look at the calendar, not in the moment of 12, 12 months, but instead 12 weeks, think about how little time you have to fail, how little time you have to procrastinate. I'm sorry, Tammy said, I've already started Christmas shopping and making. I refuse to be rushing around in December. Same, same. Which is why, as someone who gives away a lot of dishcloths, I start now. 12 months seems like a long time. It really does. And the reality of it is, if we cancel annualized thinking and focus on 12-week years, we can achieve more simply because there is no time to procrastinate. In a 12-week year, how many weeks do you have to not succeed, to not accomplish what you need to get done? There's no room. Everything, every day, every hour is a deadline that you need to hit if you're going to get to the goal for that 12-week period. It essentially is the exact same concept that athletes and their trainers use to help them reach and exceed the potentials that they set for themselves. I mean, do you honestly think that Michael Jordan waited until 10 minutes before a game to practice? No, he literally trained for an extended period of time, practicing his running, practicing his jump shots. Yes, he scheduled and organized his time to focus on just one thing. Most athletes have a designated period of time that they focus on just one thing. Let's say we're talking a basketball person. For 6 to 8, maybe even 12 weeks, they focus on nothing but running, building up their stamina, creating the muscle memory that they can run for a 60-minute period without overtiring themselves, causing injury and unnecessary damage to their bodies. Once they've mastered the muscle memory to be able to run and breathe, essentially training their brain and their body to do what they wanted to do, they move on to the next thing. I'm pretty sure Michael Jordan didn't pick up a basketball for the very first time and hit 12 consecutive jump shots. I seriously doubt that he did. However, I'm willing to bet you for a designated period of time, he focused on nothing but jump shots from the key. And for those of you that don't know what a basketball key is, it's that circle with the line halfway through it where they shoot for the basket from that point exclusively. Once he mastered that, then he probably worked on another skill. Please understand, basketball is not my sport. I don't know much about it. I know some, but not a lot. That's not the point. Let's talk about it in concepts of crochet, since many of us here are crochet artists. If you're planning to produce 12 blankets this year, you're already 3 months behind if you think today is the day to start. Doesn't mean you can't do it. But if you say for 12 weeks, I am going to produce 3 blankets, 12 weeks, that's a blanket a month. In that month, you need to get 1/4 of that blanket done each week. In the week of existence, you know that, let's say, each fourth of a blanket is 60 rows. That's 10 rows a day with 1 day off. Why do I give you 1 day off? The reality is at some point, something can happen. If you get ahead of the game, you finish that much faster. That leaves you room to celebrate or start the next blanket. It's all about prioritizing time blocks that are manageable, structured, and organized. With a 12-week year, if you're a business owner and you're looking at, my goal is to generate X number of widgets, whatever you may make, or let's say your goal is to have 60 sales every 12 weeks. In 6 weeks, that means you need to have 30 sales. In how many ever, you break it down to incremental, measurable amounts. That's just a simple way of looking at it. And I'm actually going to bypass these notes on to chapter 3. Great things happen at year end. And there's a reason that they spent a lot of time explaining to us about why annualized thinking doesn't work. Because once you dismiss and let go of annualized concepts, only focusing on activities that really matter. Exactly. Once you let go of I have time, I call it the grasshopper approach, and you use the ant approach. We need to prepare for the end right now. I know where I want to get to, so I'm going to head out now so I can get there. Most of you who know me outside of this space, and I know there are a couple of lurkers who are watching me who know me in real life, they will tell you, Michelle does not like to be late. Most times I won't even go if I'm going to be late because it sets me up for failure. I don't like to not be in front of a situation and to instead be behind it because I always feel like I'm playing catch up. I am not a catch up girl. I like ketchup on my sandwich, but I do not like playing catch up in real life, whether it's financial, physical, or time management. If you have a plan to see me at 3, you can pretty much guess you're going to see me at minimum at 2:45. Don't like to feel rushed. No, I don't. If I feel rushed, I feel like I have the opportunity to miss or forget something. That's, in a nutshell, what 12-week year helps you restructure your brain to do. And I'm sorry, Vivian said, I have 5 siblings. I gift them a blanket every year for their birthday. March blanket is done. The next birthday is July, and I should be finished by the end of the month with 2 more to go. Very well planned and very organized, Vivian. Somehow I am not surprised, though. You're that type of lady, and I love that about you. Good evening, Beverly. And of course, she is saying hello to everyone. But back to the point of the idea. Great things happen at the end of the year. Back to the concepts of business. Like I said, they plan for business to happen at the end of the year. That's when we have those conversations around our productivity through the year, what our sales goals are. They set extra bonus opportunities for many people's companies at that time because they know they want to hit their bottom line. And I'm going to give you this as food for thought. I'm willing to bet in some way the reason we learned that Joann's was going to go out of business is in January because for more than 2 periods of the year, Joann didn't hit their sales numbers. Why? Because they didn't prioritize that 12-week year mindset. They probably knew in the 4th quarter that come quarter 1 of the next year, business was going to have to close. That's just the reality. If you're operating in a quarterly segment, but all of your business plan is truncated on what you do in the final quarter of the year, that's a recipe for failure. It's just honest. Most businesses also have to pay taxes every quarter or every 12 weeks. If you think the government is playing about their money, don't pay them. My suggestion, just think about it. Doesn't matter what side of the political fence you lean on, don't pay your taxes and see how that works out in the United States of America. I'm pretty sure I won't get to see you communicating in my chat if you do that. Just saying. So, shoot, Georgia is every single month. Okay. Now, Missouri, they have flex. Personal taxes once a year, but their business taxes are quarterly. Business taxes anyway. That's kind of what I thought. Wow, that's outrageous. But Georgia's not going to miss their money. So if your concept of how to restructure your time seems a little blue, let's talk about periodization. You'll be crocheting behind bars if they let you have a hook. And think about it. How much choice are you getting in jail? I don't even want to touch that. In fact, I'm not going to touch that because what my mind said, I am not allowed to say on these YouTube streets. But thank you for making me laugh, Vivian. I really appreciated that. Periodization. This is the concept that finds its roots in athletic training, which I've already kind of covered and talked about. We are what we repeatedly do. If you structure your fundamental activities, your calendar, in the same way that athletes structure their training, I promise you, and this book kind of promises you, you are going to achieve a greater level of success and a greater level of productivity. Maybe just big hooks. Probably not big hooks because you know full well somebody is going to do something inappropriate with that hook, no matter what it's made of. And I'm going to leave that sit right there. Now, I'm going to ask you to pause for just a moment and think about this. Could you use 40 to 60%? See, Marty, your brain went where mine did. Bad girl, bad girl. But my question, could you use 40 to 60% more income, more production, and more life balance? If the answer to that is yes, genuinely yes, then I highly recommend, if you have not gotten a copy of this book, you get one. I can tell you what I know to be true. Breaking the concept of I can get it later, I can do it later, I can have it later means you're delaying gratification for your own success. And I don't know about you, but telling me I can't have something when I want it never worked and is not going to work now. If you want more success, if you have a goal to do something, earn a designated amount of money, start a new business, start a YouTube channel, whatever your goal is, and whatever your excuses are, I need to do X, 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 X in order to get it done. Instead of thinking I've got all year because my goal is to do this by the end of 2025. What if 2025 ended at the end of this month? What if 2026 started April 1st? This book is focused on business, but it's applicable literally to everything, and it has been life-changing for her. And I will be honest with you, it really has pushed me to refocus the way I organize my time. And the thing, it's March already. Yes, it is. Michelle is in her birthday month. And then I got another month to enjoy that. But yes, it's March. In fact, it's March 5th. So 5 days in, 5 days gone, 5 days that you no longer have as an opportunity to produce the best you. But you still have the rest of this month to be the very best you. And what does that look like for you? What are your goals for this month? Spring is in a few weeks. Yes, the first full day of spring is March 21st. I know that well. It's a Friday. And it's going to be a party day over here, but I can't promise you there's going to be a video. I may not want anyone to see what happens. Exactly. Deadlines create a sense of urgency. Since we're going to be focusing, celebrate you. Yes, I will. Hello, Sugar Diamond. How are you today? How's everything? Such is my celebration. Michelle, don't forget to tell everyone if they want to go into business, they need to check with their state. Uh, Vicki, that's a given. That is a given. Party at Michelle's house. Nope, not at my house. I won't even be here. I will be in the streets, literally. However, catch me outside. For me, it's not just one day at a time, it's moment to moment. It really is. And Jan, I am so, so glad you said that, because that is the key. Again, not giving a broader view to something, but focusing on just this moment, just this time. You guys, many of you know, I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning pretty much every day, including the weekend. Sometimes I'll sleep to every bit of 5 o'clock in the morning. But if you consider what all I'm able to achieve by getting up so early in the morning, and yes, we have to celebrate Sugar, because Sugar is also a March girly. We love that about her. She's an Aries. Aries must be celebrated. We have our horns. But with that said, if you target your focus and attention on what you're trying to achieve, you're going to do it. Our focus this month is this book. Those of you that are going to definitely get a copy of this book, my challenge to you is not only read the first 5 chapters, and let me be clear, if you get it in audio format, I want to say the book is about 4.5 to 5.5 hours. Forgive me about the time, because I've listened to it multiple times, including again today, so that I could make the notes for today's conversation. But the more you listen to it, like muscle memory, the more you get out of it, the more you're going to learn. And does it mean you may have to put something on the back end so that you can focus on this? Yes. What is the benefit of doing that? Restructuring the way you achieve things. So that's my sales point for that. Guys, I am going to deviate a little bit. We are not going to go over the last section of notes, because I want to ask you guys some questions. And my questions are pretty simple. What are the goals you want to achieve for the next 12 weeks? What are the goals you want to achieve for the entirety of 2025? What are you guys working on? Vicki, thank you. We got to celebrate our sugar, because that's our girl. But what are your goals, guys? What are you trying to accomplish this year? And how are you going to employ a more structured way of dealing with your time to achieve your goals? I've shared with you one of my goals is, of course, having a total of 52 dishcloths in a year, and I'm ahead of the game. She will. Sugar knows how to have fun. I love that about her. But that's because Sugar also knows how to use her time wisely. I love that about her as well. Sugar stays on me to remind me to do the things I need to do. So forgive me for a moment. I'm going to have something to drink while you guys type. Vicki said her goal is one scarf every week for seniors at the doctor's office. Ooh, that's ambitious. But you know what? I bet you're doing great with that. I am willing to bet you are doing great with that. And how are you coming with that? Are you doing unique patterns, or is it the same pattern each week? That is indeed a great goal. I love that. In fact, let me tap that. I like that. I don't know that I can handle that. And Jan said her goal for 2025 is her health with a side of crochet and knitting. Well, I think the two are connected. Your health and your ability to crochet and knit are probably married together. Angela says she wants to get caught up on projects that she hasn't been able to work on since she's been sick. You know what, Angela? I don't love the fact that you've been sick, but I love the fact that you have a goal. And I certainly hope you are feeling better. Of course, manage your health along with your time. And for me, like I said, and I don't know, maybe you do know this, maybe you don't. For me, my crochet is directly connected to my mental health. Ooh, I love that. Vicky said, no, I made up the pattern, but the stitches are all unique to each scarf. Well, of course, Angela, darling, I love you. And I am always going to be rooting for your health, your wellness, and your success. I'm going to ignore you. Quit being bad. And you know what I'm talking about. Don't make me call you out in public. Anyway, I can talk to Sugar that way because Sugar is the kind of person that is very transparent and very, very loving and wonderfully amazing. Of course, of course. Wait a minute, did I miss VJ's comment? Did I? How dare I? I must have. Okay. Jan, are you reading comments in another conversation? Because I don't see that I missed it. I am scrolling and squirreling. VJ probably put a comment that Michelle is going to talk louder so I can hear her better. At least I didn't wag my finger. Oh, that was for Vicky. Okay, I was confused. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to stay up with the chat. There is quite a lot of conversation, and I love every bit of it. Yes, I called Sugar out, but only because I love her. No, was doing the tag and didn't hit the right one. Okay, okay. As long as I'm not totally confused, because it's very, very close to my bedtime, and your girl gets squirrely, it happens. Guys, what I am going to do is cut this a little bit short tonight because I have been sneezing and coughing all evening, and I want to take some medicine and go to bed. VJ, we know how to change that. You have a goal of succeeding with your charity support for My Life in a Bag. That was easy enough. Vicky said, Jan, I made 120 hats this past year for the doctor's office and still making hats. Vicky, wow. That's impressive, darling. That is very impressive. And Jan, thank you. You shook the tree and now you have VJ typing. I love it. I love it. VJ said her goal is not to have a goal according to Sugar. I love it. Yeah, well, her cousin is giving her a goal to continue to support the charity that we are inspired to support. But like I said, guys, I am going to cut out a little bit early. I know we typically hang out for an hour. We've been together for almost 43 minutes. But hey, Kimberly, I am so sorry. You're just getting here and I am running away. But of course, there is team replay. And to those of you who are catching team replay, guys, thank you so much for being here. Wow, Vicky, 300? That's a lot. I am working on it, Jan, as much as I can, which is why I need to go take some medicine and get in front of this before it gets in front of me. I've already been sick. It is not on my calendar to do anymore. But with that said, you guys, thank you so much for being here. Wait a minute. Yeah, thank you, Jan. Thank you so much for being here. I love you. Have some fun today. And I will see you next week and we will pick up where we left off. Until then, grab a book, take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.